All right, so check this out. This is actually my car dealership. See, I'm a used car dealer and I sell cars that are $5,000 and under, but I'm almost out of cars at this point right now. And it turns out that I was actually very, very wrong about this car market and how I've actually managed my dealership. And as you can see, I'm paying the price for it right now. Now I have a new problem that I'm dealing with right now in this car market, and it's potentially worse than just being wrong on my prices. All right, so let's check it out. So this is my car lot right now. I can show you where my actual car line starts. Yeah, and we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars here in line. And I got another 5 up front there, probably another 7 or 8. I think we have roughly like 18 to 20 cars that are actually for sale right now. And this is very weird for us, especially this time of year. And I can take you down here to this other side. We've actually bought quite a few cars over the last couple of weeks. But I mean, we would rather have those cars sitting up here for sale than down here in Recon. But that's just what my car lot looks like right now. And I've been wrong about a lot of things here lately, and I mean, this is a big time problem for us, and it's not just me that has to deal with this, it's my team. I have a small business that I'm actually running out here, and well, this is not going to cut it. If we only have 20 cars for sale and we need to sell about 40 to 45 to break even each and every month, this is not going to do it. So now, what happened? Well, we had an extremely slow summer, but let's go back a few more months than that. We went through spring selling season, tax refund season. That is a massive, massive time for me as a small used car dealer who sells cars that are $5,000 and under. We ended up getting wiped out, and this is traditional. This is what happens. What was weird about this year, though, is a lot of other car dealers didn't experience the same sales volume that I actually experienced during tax selling season, during spring selling season is what I meant. And so what happens, we got wiped out, and then we were able to load up back on inventory very quickly, a lot faster than we typically are able to, because if other dealers are not busy, well, there's not as much competition for the cars that are showing up at auction, and it means that we can go in and we were able to get better prices than we traditionally get right after tax time. So that was a very weird thing for us. All right, now, well, here's what happened. So you can look back at my lot just a couple months ago. We'll show you a clip right here where you can see this lot right here that I'm standing on right now was completely filled with cars. And well, we were able to load up, and we were able to load up after tax time because a lot of dealers were a lot softer than what they were expecting to be, and we were able to go back in and buy a lot of cars a lot quicker than we traditionally are able to do. But then it's like all of a sudden the light switch just went off here in the car market, and people just stopped buying cars. And I started to get really worried, because this is a weird thing for us to be that full of cars and still not pushing through a lot of inventory. Now, traditionally during the summer, we are slower, but we've never been at a point where we've had that many cars and then not being able to sell through our actual inventory. It was so bad that most months throughout this summer, we were actually breaking even. And there were a couple months that we actually lost money. And that's something that we can't do for consecutive months in a row. I mean, at the end of the day, I want to help people out. I want to give them a good deal on a car, but we're still not running a charity. We're still doing this to actually make profit. And if you go through a few months of losing money on a business like mine, a small business, well, that's a lot of trouble that we can get into. Well, so what did we do? Well, we actually stopped buying cars, and you can see now that we've started buying quite a few more. These are in our Recon. We bought these in the last week and a half, and we're starting to get them ready now, so hopefully we can start loading back up. But for about a 2-week span, we stopped buying cars completely because I actually got very worried about the situation that we were in. And I didn't want to go through this period where, as you saw, we had tons and tons of cars on our dealership and we weren't selling any. And we only have space here for like 80, 85, 90 cars to fit comfortably, and we were getting to that max point. And if I see our numbers and I say, okay, we're bringing a lot of these cars in, but we're not actually moving them, well, it doesn't make sense for me as a small business owner actually managing our inventory to buy more cars. And here's what I got really, really wrong. See, I thought buyers had just stopped purchasing in the market. We heard this phrase all throughout the beginning of summer, middle of summer, that okay, recession was here, recession's coming, everybody's worried about tariffs, everybody's holding on to their money, so no one's going to buy anything. And this is what I was experiencing here at my car dealership. So what did we do? Well, we still have to sell inventory. I don't want, even though I'm not on a floor plan, I don't pay interest on any of the cars. I'm pointing out here like we have cars, but cars that we actually have for sale, I'm not paying any interest on these cars to actually hold them. I pay cash for all my cars, but still, I don't want cars sitting here more than 3-4 weeks on my lot. I don't like stale inventory. Let's move it. So what we decided to do is actually start lowering our prices and lowering them quicker. And what I came to find out is it wasn't a problem with buyers out there in the market, it was just price point. And there's still buyers out there that are willing to spend money on cars, but you've got to get it to the level of what they're actually willing to pay. And here's the thing, if I would have just lowered my prices sooner, if I would have tried to go after cars that were even cheaper, now we even lowered the amount of cars that the price point that we're actually trying to buy. We were buying cars that we were going to be able to sell up to $5,000, $5,500, somewhere around there. We were still buying a lot of those vehicles, meaning at a wholesale price, I got to pay $3,500, I got to pay $4,000. Well, we pulled that back, and now we're going back to $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 cars that we're actually buying. You can see out here in this line right here that I'm showing you, I don't have any cars that we're selling for $5,000. We found out that a lot of people are not able to get into that $5,000 price point anymore, so we have to bring that limit down. We have to bring that amount down. And then after we made those couple of changes, guess what happened? Well, this is what happened. We started selling more cars than we could actually buy. But now I have a new problem that I'm dealing with right now in this car market, and it's potentially worse than just being wrong on my prices. And this is actually my worst nightmare here in the car market, that, okay, maybe there are not cars available, at least the amount that I need to run my business. And this is what I'm very worried about, because what we're seeing from these auctions is that there's not an influx of new trade-ins actually coming in to the market, and especially not the kind of cars that I buy. This is a Kia Soul, there's a Mercury Grand Marquis, there's this older Honda Accord that's sitting here, we have a Lexus ES 300 that's over here. These are all cars that we were able to buy from between $1,000 and like $2,500. But here's the problem, as cars have gotten way more expensive on the new side where these trade-ins actually come from, well, it's becoming a very big problem for my type of trade-in. Because you got to think about the person who's going to have this Honda Accord right here. Well, they're driving a cheaper car on the road every single day right now. They're probably lower income. They're driving these type of vehicles every single day, so they can't afford to trade in their car and then trade it up for a car that they're going to have to, a brand new Honda that they're going to have to pay $700, $800 a month for. That's not something that's happening. So what we're seeing is that a lot of these cars, these type of cars that I buy at the auction to be able to serve my customer who is up here buying a $5,000 and under car, well, these consumers are not trading in their cars because they can't afford to trade up right now. And it's creating a lot of strain on my business, because when we go to auctions, yeah, I mean, there's cars there, but a lot of the cars there are the mid-tier level, that consumer that can actually go in and trade in a car to be able to afford a $700, $800 car payment right now. Well, in a lot of cases, they're driving nicer, more expensive cars than this. And those are cars that I can't afford to be able to put on my lot because my consumer can't afford to buy those cars. And so here's the problem. So even though prices are getting cheaper on a wholesale level, and I can tell that other dealers, especially around my range, are not doing much better than I am, or they're even maybe even struggling more than I am, because I'm seeing the kind of cars that we're buying, they're actually going down at price on a wholesale level. There's not a lot of demand from dealers like myself for a lot of these cars. And then on top of that, we're not seeing more cars actually come into the system. So here's the thing, we're able to go in there, and anything that we see that we typically buy, we're able to go in there and purchase for a pretty good price, but the cars are just not there. So here's another problem. Well, if we're selling 10 to 12 a week, but okay, there's lighter level of cars at auction that we're able to buy, we're only able to buy 10 to 15 a week, well, we're really not growing our inventory as much as we need to. And here's what's right around the corner for us. It's about time for us to start loading up for tax time. And this is what greatly worries me right now. I mean, we're at the end of summer right now. And it won't be till the end of this year that we really go very hard at actually trying to buy cars to load up for our car dealership. But I want to have about 150 cars by the time that tax time rolls around next February, next March. And right now we have about 50 cars total in our system. That's a 100-car deficit. But if we go through it and we can only find 10 to 12 cars every single week, and we're still selling 10 to 12 cars every single week, and that's on the low side, because if I'm only selling 10 to 12 cars in any given week, then we're just about breaking even, and that's not where I want to be. But you can see the problem that is already mixing around in my head, where these cars are going to come from. So what do we got to do? So that means I've got to have a plan, and I can show you up here, this is not the plan. And really, it's nothing about really what the car market is doing. If people are still buying our cars and we are able to sell more than we're actually buying at auction, well, that's not a car market problem. That's a Brandon problem. That's a mismanagement of my dealership problem. So I've got to figure out how to get us more inventory, because if the buyers are there, I can't blame it on the economy. I can't blame it on people not spending money. I can't blame it on anybody else other than me. I have to figure out how to go find these cars. So what's my plan? Well, we're going to have to add auctions, and that means, okay, some early mornings, or maybe traveling a little bit farther than what we've been doing. And this is what I'm going to have to do going forward. And it might be a thing where I have to start very soon to start implementing this plan, because if we have a 100-car deficit right now, we've got what? 6 months to go. So September, October, November, December, January, February. I got 6 months. I got 6 months to produce 100 more cars, but all along the way, I've also got to try to make money going through this. And for us to break even, it's about 41 to 45 cars we got to sell every single month. So that means just to break even on that number, we got to buy 41 to 45 cars every single month, and we can't just break even. We have to be 100 cars over in the next 6 months. This is going to be something very difficult for us to do, and I want you to make sure you subscribe, because you're going to see all the headaches that I'm going to have to deal with over the next 6 months to try to figure out how to solve this problem that I have right now. And I can actually go through the numbers of what we did over the last few months just to show you my perspective and how this market has kind of moved for me, and kind of show you where I got this wrong. So tax time, we killed it. February, March, we sold through just about everything. We were able to load up, and then in April we lost about $6,000. That's typical for us to be very slow in April, because we just sold all of our inventory. We're working on building it back up. Typically, that's what our lot looks like out there in April. So I'm not worried about a loss. We typically don't lose in April, so that was a little bit of a sign that I could tell that the market was at least getting weaker. We would usually just about break even, make a little bit of money, but we go into May. In May, we actually had a pretty good month. We made about 10 grand in May, and then June was the problem for me. June is when I started getting worried, because we actually lost a little bit of money in June, and this is when we were able to have our lot really filled back up. And that's when I started to panic just a little bit, and I pulled Alex off of buying cars. I pulled his limit down. We took a two-week break back in June from actually buying cars, and it felt really yucky. We actually did better than what I thought we were going to do in June. We only lost a few $1,000s, but then we took it off. And then July we started selling some more cars. August we started selling some more cars. Both of those months we made, I would say, probably $7,000-8,000 roughly each of those months. But the problem is that we were actually selling through some of our stuff that we had paid too much for in prior months. And so we sold quite a few cars, but we're making less money. And I can tell you right now, this is still our plan going forward, is for us to make less money and move more cars, because I mean, right now we're finding that the price point is lower for the customers that are coming in right now. So just to show you our average, we were making about $1,200 per car through tax time, right after tax time. And we actually lowered that down to about $900 is what I saw the last that I checked our numbers. And that $300 difference might not seem like a lot, but when you go from $1,200 and then you cut $300 off that, well, that's a 25% decrease in profits that I'm actually making per car. That's very significant. And I know what a lot of you are out there saying is, well, you could just keep your prices high. You could make a little bit more money. You don't have to sell as many cars. The problem is, I mean, we were trying that. We had our prices still where we weren't cutting them as quickly as what we had been, and that's when the faucets got turned off. So it's almost like we were like $500 off on a lot of these cars, and it's crazy to me where we can implement this difference of pricing model where we cut our prices by about just like 500 bucks, and it's like the floodgates open and we're able to sell cars again. So it's been very weird. I've been very wrong about a lot of things. I wish we wouldn't have stopped buying when I got us to stop buying. I wish we would have lowered our prices, been a little bit more aggressive earlier than we were, and I wouldn't be in this situation right now. But what small business is all about, learning. And another lesson, and now we got to play catch up. So that's what we're going to be doing for the next few months, and hope you stay tuned to actually see us do it.